Okay, so I thought the black and white probably is the first iteration. The second iteration is with a bit of color. So I'm Jorge Cruz Lambert, also known as Jorge. So mind my Dorset accent. I don't come with subtitles either. So if you need any clarification, just hands up, and I'm happy just to stop. So tonight, I want to talk about continuous culture. So there's a lot of sound and things about DevOps and about Agile and how to do it with tools, how we do processes. So what I want to talk today is about culture, okay? Everyone knows about one of the biggest challenges in our software professional domain is that, software delivery. How we come with an idea of that little guy there, with that light bulb, to actually have a product that is solving the problem from the customer and the user. So there's two sides. So usually what happens is, okay, so you have an idea, you spend some time, you send it to the development, they have some implementation, then you have some testing, some verification, then you go to operation, they have some maintenance. Hopefully the user and the customer, they have the products, and everybody's happy, right? Well, what is missing here is that. And it's quite important, because you need to have the feedback to know that you're doing things right. And what happens usually with huge projects or big projects is you need to decrease the time from having that idea, or trying to be the one with the first, and having the output to the customer or the user, right? So probably think, okay, so what's the problem here? Why we have a delivery and is, you know, why the customer or the user change their mind? So one of the biggest things that happen is that everything is changed. And nowadays even more. So now you have, for example, social network. Before, you have some news, you read your newspaper, forget about it probably, then came back after a week about that news, and it's just, oh, okay, that news again. That's related to the 1 week ago news. But now you have social network, you have a lot of information, everything is now, everyone wants the information now, everything is reacting to that. So what's happening is you have an idea, and that idea, you try to crystallize it, you try to create a product just related to that domain, but then everything is changing. So what can we do? So then you can think, okay, there's probably something we can do here, right? So we make it shorter, so we can have the feedback more often, right? So that's probably good enough. So you have some feedback back, you have your idea, you send it to the customer or the user, you validate it with them, and then you get the feedback. Then you create increments, then you have continuous deployment, continuous implementation. So that's probably familiar to you, right? And nobody knows about this, right? Anybody knows what is?
Agile Manifesto.
Agile Manifesto, yes. So, individuals and interaction over processes and tools, right? That's the first one. Working software over comprehensive documentation. I love that one. A lot of people read that one as oh, you don't need documentation. It's like, okay, nobody cares. You need to have some documentation, the critical parts, or at least you have to have a really good communication. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So you have a contract, huge amount of clauses, and that's it. But then the main problem here is, again, the change. So you have a contract, everyone is happy, everyone is doing the contract, the customer saying, what I want is this, and this is going to work in, I don't know, let's say 2 years. What is that going to change? I bet. The domain is changing, context is changing constantly, even things are changing. The tectonic plates that we're in, they're moving as well. We're moving in a planet, it's moving around the galaxy. So everything is changing, everything is changing. So we need to cater for that. We need to be reacting to those changes. So let's say, okay, so, that's okay. So we have some Agile, that's good. Okay, let's read some books. We have some Scrum, yeah, let's do a Scrum. Let's do some, what else in the book? Some stand-ups, yeah, stand-ups fine. Look like right, yeah. Stand-ups, Scrums, some demos as well, that's fine, good enough. But hang on a minute, what is that? The first line, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Quite important. And what I want to highlight here is the first part, individuals and interactions. People, it's quite important. Why? Because people, as well, are the ones that are creating the software, are the ones that are validating the software, are the ones that are implementing the software, are the ones that are maintaining the software. So there are people, there's psychology there. And what about that as well is basically cultural. Why? Why is that cultural? So, if we go to the formal definition of a culture, what we have is a set of customs, it's a set of traditions, a set of values. So is that familiar? Do you think you have a culture in your company? No, nobody have a culture. Nobody have a tradition like going on Friday on a pub. Nobody have any value like, oh yeah, just make sure that the build is always working before committing. So what is interesting here is before even thinking about any kind of processes and tools, we need to think about the culture. We need to think about the people that are there. So we cannot have a set of instruction or a recipe how to do like tandoori chicken, and then you just follow the steps and it's done. We need to think about how can we embed that culture to make sure that the DevOps or Agile works. And that's really important. And it's depending how you have the teams, it's depending how you have your company, it's depending if everyone is co-located, it's depending if everyone is far apart. So how can we achieve that? So that's what I want to talk about as well, and what I want to focus is in continuous culture. And why I call it continuous culture is because it's a culture that needs to be always revised, because there's always people that came in and came out from the company, there's always changing, you have different domain, different, specifically different time, because people that are working right now in the IT are probably quite different because of the experience as well. So experience as well is changing people. So we have 4 most important parts in the continuous culture. So we have a continuous collaboration, quite important. We have automated, accountability as shared responsibility, which is quite important as well, and continuous improvement. So we are all working in an organization with common goals. Maybe we're not in the same team, but what I like to know and what I like to believe is that when you are in a company, you share some common goal. So we are all rowing toward the same treasure island. And we need to analyze how our teams are organized and maybe think about what is the best to distribute people and maybe to foster collaboration. So how can we collaborate? So instead of having like tools, like saying, oh yeah, we can just have, like a ticketing system and then we can have chat. Let's see how people react. Let's see what are the things that are blocking them. Let's study how people are engaging more. Some people are more introverts, some people are more extrovert. Probably you have a team full of introvert, or you have a team of introvert, or you have a mix. But it's really interesting to have a look on that and try to analyze what is probably the best solution for you, just before you jump to the first shiny tool to implement. Then the next one is automated. I like that one. We need to do it more often. We need to automate everything that is possible. So what we want to reduce is all the tasks that is around there, in all our departments, in all everyone, to actually leave time for innovation. Because we are engineers. We're really good thinking about things. We're really good coming with good ideas. Why we need to spend our time just trying to solve something that we can automate it? That's really important one. It's a really chain of mine as well. Accountability as shared responsibility. So obviously it's one of the most important parts that we need to have in our culture. We need to make sure everyone is transparent, everyone is open, everyone knows why we took a decision. No blame culture as well, quite important here. And basically, we need to make sure that we're accountable, but then we're open, in an open group, in an open team. We can communicate with each other. We can trust each other. So basically inside here, which we said accountability and shared responsibility, the things are behind is trust and transparency. And that's quite important if you want to get DevOps, if you want to get Agile. And the last one I want to talk about is continuous improvement. So we need to always think about what to improve, but not only about the products, let's say. We can improve processes, we can improve products, we can improve how we do things in our company. And that's what we need to spend the time. And that's what we're valuable. It's not about, doing things that can be automated or doing things. We need to take that responsibility and say, okay, we're going to improve what we're doing. And that's the valuable thing as an engineer. And that's, I think, is the most important part in our job. I'm not doing it because, because this year is good and I'll do it. It's a continuous thing. It's a thing that needs to come into our culture. It's a thing that you need to look at it and say, by the way, I think we can improve that. That doesn't mean that you need to improve it, but then you can collaborate with people just to improve it. So all these 4 values that we have here, the continuous communication, the shared responsibility and accountability, a continuous improvement. So all these things are quite important in the culture. And that's what we need to make sure there is a stage in our company. How can we do it? So we can do it in different ways. There's always changes that we can make, but I think it became part of us. I think it's something that needs to come from the bottom up. So we need to think how can influence other people to work in a cultural environment that is open, fair, trusted, and fun is the other part. So my takeaway is DevOps it's not a process. It's not a tool. It's not a title. It's just culture. And that's the thing we need to take care about our culture, about how we implement it. So what I would like to do now is ask around about the culture. What are the things from your company, not day to day, you like the most from a cultural side? Diversity. That's a really good example. And why?
Variable. Makes the day interesting. I think it's the same every day. You hear people say same shit, different day. It's not for me.
It's a really good one.
You'll find a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting people from different minorities, from different cultures, from different countries. And talk to them and understand, how to do their work and get to know them on a personal level too. It's very interesting.
Good, thank you. Any other one?
Sense of humour.
Sense of humor.
Pretty much laugh every day.
Oh, come on, everyone wants to be serious. Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's, having an open and trusted environment and being, in an environment that you have fun as well while you're working, that's always help to actually begin with DevOps and Agile. Any other example?
Just like pretty honest open communication.
Good. So, right in time. Anyone have any question? So hopefully I didn't bore anyone. So if you have any question, oh, you have a question.
Can you tell us a bit more about where you work and what?
Sorry, say again?
Can you tell us a bit more about where you work and what you do?
Okay, so yeah, I presented myself. I still have 20 seconds. So I'm Jorge Cruz Lambert. So I work for Siemens Mobility. So I work in traffic management. So based in Poole, but we're working with different teams. We work with Germans and Czech Republic and basically a bunch of Europeans as well. And then, yeah, we're doing traffic management basically, so traffic control.
What do you do? What's your job role?
So my job role is software architect. So I started as an engineer there. So obviously, as you can see here by my accent, I'm not from here. I'm from Southampton, really, originally. I'm from Spain. And yeah, I had some experience in a space company first in Madrid. I was working in mobility as well. Then I moved here to WDS, working with some famous guys here. And then I moved to Siemens. So that was in 2015 now.
Can you tell me, is Rick still the IC manager now?
Sorry, say again?
Rick, is he still the IC manager? Do you work for Paul?
Popo.
You get the second name. I used to work for Siemens many years ago.
Oh, really? Okay. We'll talk about that.
My company shared the same site with Siemens, Sophus Lane.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, we're based in Sophus Lane.
I was site manager of my company, so that's how.
Ah, right. Yeah, it was Marconi before. Yeah, you're right.
But Siemens put the rent up too high.
Just a quick question. When talking about the DevOps movement, it seems like we talk indeed a lot about automation and tooling. And I would like to know where does this approach come from? Because it's very rare, not unheard of, but it's very rare that people talk about culture, about the values, about where do you...
I think it's coming from different experiences, really. So usually being in so many different companies, sometimes what I saw is they're trying to, being agile, reduce time to market. So they said, okay, well, let's do it agile. And it's not the same doing agile than being agile. So the main difference is how you actually work on people, on the people that you have there, to try to change the culture first, and then make the change smooth.
So did you actually come up with that, or did you? I'm asking because I'm part of an association called DevOps Agile Skills Association, and we've developed something based on 4 areas of knowledge and 12 skills, and it's practically, we use different words, but it's practically identical to what you just.
Oh, that's good to hear that we're aligned.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's good.
That's why I was wondering whether you were familiar with what we were doing. Or
No, absolutely no.
A lot of things came out of CAT and Toyota.
Yes. Yeah, that basically, yeah.
Lean is very involved in the
Yeah. And that's the funny part as well, because if you see some of the commentaries about Toyota and how Toyota deal with the changes, and it's amazing. So basically, before, if you think about Ford, on how Ford work, so in the old time when Henry Ford was there, if you say to Ford, okay, sorry, Mr. Ford, we need to stop this because we need to improve that, and probably Ford will be really, really pissed off. Well, in Toyota, they said, okay, we're going to improve things, and who can improve things better than the people that are closer? Then if they need to stop the line because they need to move this place that they're getting the, I don't know, like the screwdriver to this place because it's faster, they made them do it. And then the manager go there, not to tell them off, but to say, oh, what you change? Just to learn, to make the same changes to other ones, and to have that communication. So that's the brilliant part, is how you change the culture, so then all these changes are encouraged. All the improvement are encouraged.
Yeah, and I think you're very right that sometimes then requirements of a project change a lot very rapidly. So you end up being a program, you deliver what you think that then your customer expecting. In my case, the internal customer in my company, and they say, oh, okay, we don't need that anymore. You're like, I wrote that.
Now that you spend like a lot of money.
Exactly. But on the other hand, in some projects, you have all these meetings every day, and you realize that you have more people talk about the project rather than people actually developing the solution.
Yes.
So what do you think is the best approach to find a golden edge between these two problems?
So I would say as a software architect, it depends. But basically, it depends on the project. So some of the project, if it's, for example, more like a research project, I would be more inclined to do more communication, more changes, because things are changing and it's more like proof of concept. If the project is more like a regulatory one, then it would make sense to have, for example, some touch point with the customer and see how are the outcome of that and the feedback. And then probably you can start changing. So probably the first thing you do is a demo meeting to just show, not even the product, probably you can show like a wireframe, something like that, and then you can get that feedback, and then start thinking, okay, that went well, I'm gonna repeat it again. But then the next one is like, oh, that went like a long meeting, then, so you adapt as well. Because as well, sometimes what happens is, if it's a long project, you have customer that are changing as well, and change people as well. So there's a new people in the room, and it's completely different, and he will not different, and they have their own agendas, they have their own psychology. So you always need to be adapting yourself as well. So it's always about adaptation. So the main important thing is when you're thinking about, for example, doing Agile or doing DevOps, and it's like, oh, wait, what do you need this way? Okay, we're doing in this way at this moment, with these people, with the culture that we have. But then everything adapts, everything changes. So you need to have this in mind.
I think the problem a lot of times with the word project is a good one. It means it's a start and end. Really, you should not use the word project and use the word product instead. Replace it completely.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Let's start a project and then we finish it.
Yeah.
It's never really ending to
Yeah, but that's the thing is, sometimes you think, okay, if you change the name, are you changing the mind of the people? It's like when you're saying, if you impose tools, are you changing mind of the people? Sometimes, in some cases, extreme corner cases, probably could work, but it's not recommended. So you need to work first on, okay, this is how we're going to work, then this is a project, this is a product. And I totally agree, there's a big difference on that. But not changing only the name is not going to make the change, yeah.
Do you think change is a constant or a variable?
That's a good question. I will think about it. Good one. Okay. Thank you very much.